As a leader in your business or your business unit or division, wherever you're working, you need to have a process to follow. And what the process that I follow and strongly recommend is the mind shop process. The beauty of the mind shop process is it deals with what I think has been an ongoing dilemma for business leaders for probably the last 10, 20, even 30 years. That's balancing what I call short-term key issues with long-term strategy. Only recently, in the last 6 months, working with a public listed company in Australia, where this particular process really has turned this particular division of the public company around, because they grappled with this issue for many years. So let's go through the process and it will come clear how we deal with it. First of all, you must take stock of where we are now. In your business, where are you today? In 6 points, 8 bullet points, how would you describe it? Perhaps profitability is not as good as it should be, growing customer base, frustrations perhaps in sales, operations needs to lift its quality. Doesn't matter, but you know what the key issues are in your business and you need to articulate them. We must, if we're going to work out a process and a plan to change the business, you always know where you're starting from. You must know that. So we need to deal with that. If you look at the left-hand side, then I always ask, what are your current key issues? What are your burning issues in the business? And often, these are just what we call short-term issues. They may not be strategic, but they need to be dealt with. Some people call it unfinished business. It could be a structural ownership problem between shareholders. It could be succession plan. It could be major quality issues in the plant, customer complaints. But what are they? It could be morale. And we often say, well, yeah, they're short term, they're not strategic, but unless we deal with them, we're not going to be able to deliver our plan. Once you identify your key issues that you're facing at the moment, then you need to come up with action plans to address them. Okay? It's what I call what are you going to do next Monday sort of answers to your plans. All very well to talk about it, but what are you going to do to change it? We feed that into what we call the how. How are we going to get there? That's critical, whether it be a one-page plan, even a larger document, but it must be succinct and people need to be able to understand what they have to do over the coming months to fix it. That's fine, but on the right-hand side we also need to look long-term. As much as we need to fix short-term issues, we need to be able to look ahead, and as business leaders that's our role. We need to be visionary, we need to think ahead. So the first thing in the longer term we say, where do we want to be? I usually say over the next 3 to 5 years. I think 12 months is too short time frame, 10 years perhaps a bit too hard for us to think about, but in most organisations, perhaps with the exception of say IT companies, 3 to 5 years out should be a challenge to you. Where do we want this business to be? What markets are we in? Customers? How are we going to measure it? All those sorts of questions you need to think about. Once we've worked out where we're going, what are our strategies to get there? It might be we're taking up acquiring a new business or a new company or entering into a new market. But how are we strategically going to achieve our vision? And we also feed these strategies with action plans into the how. How are we going to get there is important. We also say there's a bit of a curtain as leaders, because the leaders are often over here looking long term, but they're looking behind a curtain at their team dealing with short term issues that need to be fixed. Because by watching your team fix those issues, it tells you a lot about even your own organisation and your own people. So I actually recommend that the leader stands back from the short term, what I call problem issues, and lets the team fix them, because it gives a real insight into the company and what are the real strengths and weaknesses of that company. So in summary, you need a process for the change and the success of your business, and the process needs to be balanced on two areas. One is dealing with the short-term issues that every organisation is facing at the moment, even mine, but at the same time balancing long-term. If we spend all our time on short-term and firefighting, that's where you'll end up. If you spend all time on long-term visionary stuff, you're going to ignore the real issues that you're facing in your business, and either way could be a recipe for disaster. So if you're looking for good planning, looking for change, you need a good balance of both. That's what the Mind Shop process delivers.